Hey everyone, Bowen from Enhanced Asset Management here. Just back with another quick update today, just from week 2 of reporting season. And we had two companies report, those being AGL and GQG. So we'll start with AGL. They reported earlier in the week, and they reported some strong revenue growth, up 15% to $7.1 billion. We saw underlying EBITDA reduce slightly, down to 1.1 billion, and underlying NPAT reduced around 7%. And this was due to some increased investment in some of their fleet assets, a lot of the time on the renewable energy side, particularly the Liddell battery, which is a big project for them at the moment. And off the back of these results, management narrowed the guidance range, with underlying EBITDA being narrowed to 1.9 to 2.1 billion. And at the midpoint, compared to their previous guidance, this was a 6% increase. And for the NPAT, it was a 2.4% increase at the midpoint. Now, similarly with ResMed that we discussed last week, we saw some negative price action off the back of this result, despite the slight increase in guidance. We're still pretty confident in AGL. We noted that the growth is starting to come out of this one, heading into a weaker year off the back of a really, really strong FY24. But we're still pretty confident in the way that this business will perform over the next 6 months, and expect to see that share price back up towards $12 in the short term. Now, next we'll run through GQG, which was a bit of an opposite result to AGL in the sense that this is where the growth that is really going, and GQG had a fantastic FY24. So you can see I've just got some statistics up on screen there, and you can see the closing fund for GQG's investments were $153 billion, and that was up from $120 billion last year. Revenue of 760 million was around a 45% increase on FY23. And we saw net profit for GQG up at 432 billion, which was just over a 50% increase on FY23. So these results were ahead of our forecasts, and they were ahead of a lot of other analyst forecasts. And we saw some stronger price action off the back of this one. Also worth noting, they've increased their payout policy for dividends, and that can now be anywhere in the range of 50 to 95% of profit. So we see a really strong dividend for the final quarter of FY24, and that brings the total dividend for the year up to 13 cents and some change. So that's US dollars as well. So a touch over 20 cents in Australian dollars. Now, we discussed when we took this initial position off the back of the weak issues that they experienced with Adani and their emerging equity fund. But I think what's really important is to zoom out a little bit, and GQG did that in their presentation, and have shown the performance of their funds that I've got up on screen here versus all of their benchmarks. And you can see that over virtually all periods, barring sort of the 1 year for the emerging markets off the back of the Adani issues, they're outperforming their benchmarks, and considerably in most cases. So the underlying strength of the investments are still there, and we expect some strong flows to keep coming through for GQG. Now, I think it's also worth noting, talking about those dominant flows, just how much further ahead of their competitors that they actually are, particularly in Australia. So you can see up on screen here the 3-year net flows for some of the biggest funds in Australia, and GQG is almost 3 times the size of the second competitor in terms of flows for the last 3 years. And that just goes to show the strength of the investments, the strength of the distribution team, and this is going to hopefully continue to flow into the funds for GQG. Now, as we said, it's been a really strong start to our position in GQG. You can see the rebound there, particularly throughout 2025. Our valuation off the back of this result is really strong, and we can see this one being worth upwards of $283 a share. So, we're pretty comfortable with our position at the moment, and we expect to see some further strong performance throughout 2025. As always, this is general information only. If you do require any further financial advice, please speak with a licensed advisor. We'll be in touch, obviously, over the next week or two as reporting season comes to an end. We've still got a few companies to report and to discuss with you as well. So until then, hope you're all well, and I'll speak with you soon. Thanks.